Thank you so much for speaking to me. This whole series was so eye-opening. I like to call it the magic behind the magic. And it's so much information that what we see, we take for granted. We just go on the ride and that's it. So I was wondering, when it comes to the creation behind it, how do you build a story? And when you do build that story, how do you inject it so that it translates to the technology? For both Vanessa and Mark.
Yeah. I can jump in on that first, since I work early on projects doing story work. I'm a writer, and it is really storytelling at the beginning. We start these projects to figure out how we're going to bring our guests into a world, and it's really world building, into a world that is we've seen in the movies or one that we've created ourselves, and how do we sort of give guests an experience that they're going to enjoy, feel like they're in that story, that they're the stars of the show, even if they're on a ride or if they're walking through something. And so all of that, and the ideas of technology and special effects and tricks and the way it's all designed is all to really then vanish and put you as a guest into the middle of that story. So I think Behind the Attraction does an amazing job of capturing how we get there, how we go from that original stuff, the twisting, turning road to get it. It's not a straight linear line from idea to walking in 5 years later into an attraction or a land or whatever we built. It is often many sort of ups and downs and trying to figure out things and trying to find new technology and so forth. So it's a really amazing process. It takes a lot.
Yeah. My role is that of an archivist rather than a creative. So for me, I was watching it kind of similar to you, like a fan, like, oh, this is really neat hearing these stories about how the creation process happens and how these attractions come to life. Typically I see the artwork at the end of the project. So I'm not part of that whole story development and design process. So it was fun for me to get to hear those stories from my fellow Imagineers.
I'll just quickly say we go to you because you have the art of original Imagineers and the thing to inspire us in the process. So it is circular.
When it comes to a kind of archivist and you're looking at the stories that was told before, is there something in particular that has to stand out for you, Vanessa, in order for it to translate into an attraction? Did you feel?
You mean for the artwork to translate?
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of artwork where, there's a really strong artist who paints either a character or a scene or both. And it just, you can look at that and okay, that's going to be really cool when it's finally built. And it's neat seeing, I'll take Mark Davis, for example. You see his character sketches and they're so strong and so well done. And then you see photos of, or ride the attraction that artwork, led to. And they built what was in the artwork, and it's just incredible to see that come to life.
And how does exactly, I know you're also an author, so when it comes to collecting certain artwork and materials just in general to get that information, I know that, how does that translate to your books as well?
They're directly related. When we collect every piece of artwork that is created by Imagineers for our projects. So ultimately, all of that will come to the collection and become part of the collection. And then I'm able to go into our database or even our drawers in the vault and pull from that and find the images that I feel best tell the story for our books. For me, it's really exciting. The books are the best way to share the artwork with our fans around the world, because it's almost like you get to come into the vault that way with the book when it arrives at your home.
Right. For both of you, when it comes to a new attraction or say they have a new movie or TV series, how far in advance do you get to see that, either that artwork or that design or that idea, before you start either archiving the work or creating the next attraction?
It really depends on the project, and sometimes we get to go in very early and see really right from almost the get-go what they're going to be thinking and doing, and then we get our wheels turning and figure out how we may then sort of bring that to life for our guests in the parks. There's other times something has already existed or it's already very far down the road, as projects and movies or whatever, and then we get involved then. But I think it can be both. It can be very early or it can be later on.
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes, like Mark said, sometimes people will come to us for inspiration. They want to see artwork that's been done in the past. So in that case, we'll be aware of a project that's being worked on early on. In a lot of cases, we don't really see anything until it's announced and artwork starts to be released publicly, and then it'll come to us after that point.
Right. And for Mark, has there ever been either an attraction or an idea where you had to wait in order for technology to catch up with it?
Boy, that's a great question. I think I'm sure that has happened. I don't know if I've ever worked on a project that was waiting for technology to happen, but I do think I've worked on projects where you weren't quite sure the technology that would be used to make it come true. So I guess in this sense, we've had an idea and we have a lot of thinking of how it might work, but there is always that sort of trying to make sure it figures out. I think the show does a great job of this, showing how there are technologies and ideas, and are the two matched up in the right sequence? Do you have the idea already, or here's a piece of technology? I think the Star Wars episode where they talk about Star Tours and they had gone into a simulator was a really good example of like, okay, we've got this notion, we've got this simulator, what's the story, how we're going to, so I love that so that episode highlights that kind of, where do these two things fit together?
Right. And for both of you, has there ever been an attraction that you're surprised about how simplistic it is, but it's so beautiful and it really just captures the spirit?
That's a tough one.
Without going into sort of telling how some of our attractions are, because we want you to sort of be in it, right? We don't want you to necessarily be thinking about this vehicle doing this and that technology doing this. We want you in, we want you experiencing something and feeling the emotion of that and everything. So I think there's quite a few attractions that are very simple when you think about them, but just have so much impact.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And lastly, for people who are about to watch this docuseries, can you describe it in just 3 words?
A crazy, fun ride, or maybe you should say attraction.
Yeah.
Crazy fun.
Yeah. Entertaining, funny, and educational.
I like both. Thank you so much for speaking with me.
Great meeting you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice talking to you.